20 to 25 miles per hour blowing. Actually, it's kind of out of the right field area toward the third base dugout.
It's a little bit different, I will say, as a pitcher. If you've got high winds, it's always a better day when they're blowing in. So a little bit of a different scenario than what we saw here Friday night when there was a little bit of a stream pushing straight out to right field.
Savai Morgan in the leadoff spot. Oklahoma, that familiar shift that we have seen throughout this series as they play 3 infielders on the left side and 2 on the right side, and only 2 outfielders. Nobody home out in right field. Taylor Panels had a great weekend so far for the Lady Volunteers as Morgan fouls this one off. Do you feel a little claustrophobic at the plate if you're Savai Morgan? This is the way that she's been defended all weekend, with 7 essentially people on the infield and only 2 in the outfield. They've got her surrounded, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's paid off for the Sooners. There were a couple instances, especially off of Landry on Friday, where the defense and the pitch location played directly into the setup, and we just saw it there again with the called third strike.
Landry only 2 strikeouts in 8 innings back on Friday, gets 1 to the opening hitter this afternoon.
And the setup of that infield and the outfield shift was irrelevant when you hit a spot like that for Landry to open up. Good to see Landry early on in this game finding the strike zone and establishing the corners early.
You see 141 pitches that she threw, a career high. That was back when she was at Louisiana, 3 seasons at Louisiana. This was her first as a Sooner.
That stat really shocked me, honestly. Looking at seeing her career high in pitches on Friday, 125. Broke her previous pitch high in a ball game.
This one the first easy play. 1 hop over to the bag for Sydney Sanders.
And if the top of the first is any indication, it just shows that she's gone nearly her whole career being extremely efficient. When you've got pitch numbers being that low, nearing 100, barely over 100 each ball game, I mean, that's a normal day at the ballpark for most pitchers, throwing over 125 pitches. And the fact that Landry keeps her pitch count so low just shows how efficient she is.
High fly ball, right field, and sailing into the Tennessee bullpen. Out of play. Wind is going to knock that ball down a good deal, but I don't know that it would have had a chance to leave the park, even on a non-windy day. Now, if it's blowing out of the south, it's got a chance.
I think a south wind may have pushed that a bit, but not here today.
What a weekend so far for Panel. She's now tied in the SEC for 5th place with 12 home runs. Panel solo home run to right center field yesterday at the top of the 4th inning, and she's 4 of 7 in the series. 3 hits in the Lady Vols win on Friday.
And Panel does such a tremendous job in the box. She's not a one-sided hitter. She does a good job of hitting the ball where it's pitched, and a lot easier said than done, but does a tremendous job of just tracking pitches on the inner part of the plate, on the outer part as well, and just sending it back where it came from.
A strike 2 from Landry. Said she needed to make adjustments as far as the strike zone is concerned, and she was a little bit wild back on Friday night. Hit a couple of batters and walked 3 in that game. This one popped up. Retreating the shortstop Garcia into shallow left center. 1-2-3 inning in the circle for Sam Landry and the Sooners. The Oklahoma batting lineup comes your SEC Pitcher of the Year and architect of the fastest pitch in softball history. 78.2 miles per hour this past Monday.
The velocity is everything that anyone has been talking about Pickins, but what is so impressive about Carlin Pickins is how well she works her pitches and tunnels her pitches through the zone. She is a north and south pitcher, uses that rise ball, uses that drop ball, and when you throw that hard and you're consistently in the mid-70s, that rise ball looks a lot harder coming in those eyes, and then you're able to change speeds with the changeup that is also very deceptive and effective. It is no doubt that she is one of the best in the country.
And she's about 6'1", 6'2", and so her release point, how important is that? She's closer to the plate when she lets go.
Well, she just has those long levers, And everything, when you've got a pitcher who is over 6 foot tall, who's got those long legs, those long levers, I'm going to use that word again, striding out, it feels like 43 feet turned into 30 feet really quick. And again, that velocity is there, but it's so much how quickly the ball just gets on you out of her hand.
That went down and in, and you see Pickins kind of nodding her head. You get used to what the strike zone is going to be. Scott Mayer's behind the plate. Alex Leap is down at third, and Tatum Stolting is the first base umpire. Chopper to third, cut off by Panel, and she's able to retire Abigail Dayton to start things.
Really nice location coming from Pickins.
So here you go. That is the 78.2 mile per hour pitch. There have been some posts, I think, where it's been a different pitch that was actually more in the strike zone. That was a ball, but it was 78.2 miles per hour.
I don't care where it's at.
Exactly.
You hit the bull, I don't care at 78 miles an hour. It's such an unbelievable feat.
And the prior fastest was a former Lady Volunteer, Monica Abbott, for the Chicago Bandits. That was in 2012 when she threw that one in. You know, maybe the most important thing that Kieran Weekly has talked about is this is a platform now for Coach Weekly and the staff and players to be able to talk about the teammate in person that Carlin Pickins is.
Well, and it's so easy, especially with how instant everything is in our lives now with social media, and again, so many people having access to that video and seeing the record be broken.
Now, the wind factors in on that ball. It's a different wind in this ballpark. We need to talk about that a little bit, because that's going to be caught by Gabby Leach, who, by the way, made the defensive play of this series back on Friday night. Normal day, okay, so if it's a south wind, that's a home run. Normal day, it's caught. North wind, which is rare here, it's a dropped foul ball. That's how different this park plays.
And you could just see Leach, that was not her just absolutely misplaying the ball. That ball got hung up in the wind, and what looked like a routine fly ball to right field all of a sudden started shifting foul and just out of the reach of Leach.
And Pickens says it doesn't matter, I'm bringing the heat. She strikes out Nelly McEnroe-Marinas.
And there's that rise ball just working the ladder straight through the zone, and such a tremendous pitch on 2 strikes, taking that rise ball, starting as a strike and ending up in the eyes. And what makes that rise ball so deadly is Pickens' go-to is the drop. So able to just change those eyes consistently with that type of velocity behind it. You cannot sit on one pitch and you see a lot of chases outside of the strike zone.
Do you have a favorite name for the fastball, the blazing fastball, the heat, the cheese, the cheddar, the flamethrower?
Gas.
Gas.
Just pure gas.
It's just the flame emoji, I think, that's the most popular. Maybe we could put that on the scouting report, just the flame emoji.
That's easy. I like it.
It'd be tough to retire Pickering. Nobody has in her last 13 plate appearances. The other side of that is, how challenging is it to catch that kind of heat if you're Sophia Nugent back there?
And especially, and as great as pitchers are, every now and then they tend to miss a spot, cross up your catcher. It's a lot more difficult when it's coming in. And that pitch hitting the gun at 75 miles per hour when it's coming in the mid-70s. Pitch across the plate or up and down, it really, I think, is a testament to Nugent and what she's able to do behind the plate as well.
Make it 14 straight reaching base for Cassidy Pickering now. She draws the 2-out walk. Pickering, she's one of those players, kind of quiet, a little unassuming, very professional type approach. And then you look up and the stats, they're not quiet or unassuming.
They hit you in the face. And I think something for a player like Pickering that almost kind of gives her that unassuming vibe is she's just consistent. You know, day in and day out what you're getting from Cassidy Pickering in the box. You know what you're getting from her defensively, because she's a tremendous defensive outfielder as well. And we've seen her in left, we've seen her in right throughout the season. And it's quietly consistent.
Gabby Garcia had her first career triple as an Oklahoma Sooner. was kind of lost in the sun yesterday out in right field and came in to score. That's her lone hit so far this weekend. To Hopper, to the second baseman, Ella Dodge, and the inning is over. LSU won on Friday, and then Missouri and Ole Miss, they're playing the first 2 games of their series today, and they'll play game 3 on Monday. So you got something to do on Monday. You can watch the final game of that Missouri-Ole Miss matchup.
There you go. Best part of SEC is they play, what, Monday afternoon softball?
Yeah, you get the mic'd up Mondays. So you get to hear from players and coaches during the broadcasts. And you get that extra game, which is the game in which Carlin Pickins threw that fastest pitch ever, was a Monday game. Here's McKenna, Gibson, Nugent, and Dodge. There's that off-speed pitch that can make Landry so formidable.
And that's something that took her a little bit of time in game 1 to establish. And I would like to say that that probably led to a few jams that she found herself in, of not having that off speed established early in the game. So seeing that adjustment and then going right after Gibson with the curveball on the outer half.
So that's 2 strikeouts, already as many as Landry had in 8 innings back on Friday night. And here is the SEC scoreboard. Alabama, Georgia, bottom of the 6th, as they're playing their rubber game. Ole Miss and Missouri, as we said, they're playing 2. Rubber game between Texas and Mississippi State as well. And the Longhorns on top early.
It's wild to look at I feel like every weekend when we're looking at SEC scores, there's always massive ball games going on. But what I'm excited about is looking forward, going, this league is so tough, and anyone can beat anyone else on any given day in this league. I'm curious to see what this is going to shake out and look like about 3 weeks from now.
Or what's it going to look like May 6th through the 10th in Athens, when everybody gets together for the SEC championship. Here's Sophia Nugent. She was the hero back on Friday night against her former team. This one in the air toward right field, and the wind going to knock that one down into the glove of Pickering for the second out.
Huge outs. 5 straight retired for Sam Landry to start this ball game, and hammering the strike zone. Nearly every at-bat has been a plus pitcher's count, so going into that strike zone early and allowing the Sooner defense to do their job.
Here's Dodge. Landry she looks a little different. And she even said after the game the other night, she said, hey, that's on me to adjust to the strike zone and where I need to be locating things.
Yeah, and that's part of the gig, right? It's easy as a pitcher or as a coach or as a fan to walk away from a ball game and go, that strike zone was not it. But that's not how things work. You've got to find a way to make those adjustments, and I feel like we're seeing from Landry so far in this game a little bit more pace with how she's going about her pitches. She's getting the ball quickly, coming back and getting on the rubber, so really working a little quicker. Again, that word efficient is what I think of when Sam Landry is on.
Mealer's had a good solid weekend in Norman so far, as Landry touches the outside edge with that one. Mealer 3 for 7. She had 3 hits and a run scored back on Friday night. The Middle Tennessee State transfer, second season as a Lady Volunteer. And pulls this one foul.
Back-to-back off-speed pitches coming in from Landry. One thing I noticed on Friday, this Tennessee offense really, you could see all of their foul balls were going in the same direction. And you saw that timing and that rhythm of each of these hitters looking like they were on time and hunting a very specific pitch.
Check swing, foul ball, in on the hands. And so the count remains 2-2.
So Landry coming in and really throwing a lot of off-speed pitches. She's thrown 7 so far in this ball game, and we're only in the 2nd inning. nearly every batter who's come to the plate has seen something off speed.
Off the plate and fair, just picked up by Emmerling, who throws out Nealer. It is 6 up and 6 down for Sam Landry in the circle for the Sooners, who come to the plate.
Other successes at Oklahoma and Tennessee, but you look, they've been successful everywhere they've been and taken programs to heights. But when you look at college softball in the last 20 years, the University of Oklahoma, Tennessee are always in the conversation of being 2 of the best in the country. And Coach Gasso, Coach Weekly, it's not by accident.
And the list of players for each, a who's who of college softball through the years. As Ella Parker stands in here for the Sooners. Parker, then Sanders and Agbayani, the scheduled hitters. Ella Parker hitless in the series, but has walked a couple of times and has scored a run. We talked about her painful shin splints that she is dealing with. Patty Gasso said there's no chance that I'm giving her a day off. She's too proven, she's too good, and it almost feels like the more time she's not successful at the plate just makes it more probable that she's going to do something special. Over to play this one is Dodge.
I can tell you, of all of the athletes who don't want a day off, Ella Parker. Give me another opportunity. And good work by Ella Dodge, seeing that high hop up the middle and getting the first out of the inning, and that location on the inner half going right after Parker.
Sydney Sanders' 3-run home run yesterday was the difference maker for the Sooners. She bats with the bases clear, and 1 down here in the second.
Sydney Sanders is the type of hitter, when she gets hot, look out. You may see some lulls here and then, but she does have very high walk numbers. She always somehow finds a way on base, but getting hot right now and what she's done in this series.
Up and in, and there was a definite clicking sound. Not sure what that hit. Probably that elbow guard that she has on her front arm. Certainly where it appeared as that one ran up and in on her.
And catching a little bit of that Evo shield and running that rise ball up. And that's tough, because when you work inside to hitters, it's gonna happen. That pitch is, you want to make sure you go inside just enough, especially to someone like Sydney Sanders. And looks like she's okay. Never a great Sunday when you're taking a 75-mile-an-hour pitch off your finger.
Without question.
But I think may have gotten just a little bit of that Evo shield to maybe ease. You can kind of see the ball change direction.
That ball is going so fast that even with slow motion, it's hard to tell exactly what it hit. So Sanders hit by pitch with 1 away. She becomes the second Sooner base runner. Agbayani trying to lay one down up the first baseline. Ilana Agbayani, one of those kind of routine-oriented players. Not that they aren't all. Says she likes to have the hair ties and the bubbles back there on the ponytail. Got to have the bubbles. Trying to bunt that one.
Pickins really working the inner half. We saw it to start this inning. Ella Parker on the inside part of the plate. Sydney Sanders a little too inside, and then Agbayani trying to lay down the bunt and move a few things way in.
And now Patty Gasso down the line to have a word here with Scott Mayer. What is she questioning? She's kind of smiling.
Saw Coach Gasso kind of have her hand up and pointing out to Tatum Stolding, as if, or excuse me, Alex Leap, as if someone had their hand up.
As though time had been called, is that what you're saying?
Or an illegal pitch, which I don't believe that was any way a call.
That is strikeout number 2 for Carlin Pickins. She fans Agbayani for the second out of the second inning.
It was a called strike. They said that Agbayani offered at the second strike.
And Patty Gasso just questioning whether or not she did offer at the prior pitch before the strikeout happened. Here's
me.
Isabella Emmerling now. Emmerling looking for her first hit in this weekend series. They appeal down to the first base umpire, Tatum Stolting, and she says no swing. So 2-0 the count now. A 1-out hit by pitch of Sydney Sanders, and she's down at first base. Pulled to third, nicely played by Panel, and across for the third out. No score. Headed to the third inning. Rubber game between the Sooners and the Volunteers at 11.
And I will say the 7-8-9 had some success against Landry, whether it be via the walk, but putting themselves in positions to roll this lineup back over to the top and have someone in one of those 7-8-9 slots on base. I can always appreciate a leadoff coming in, showing bunt, just trying to catch an infield off on their heels.
Right on the back, Sanders takes care of Dodge to start the third, and it's 7 up and 7 down so far in the circle for Sam Landry.
All smiles from Landry, and I can say it over and over and over. Challenging these hitters early in counts, throwing pitches through the strike zone and allowing her defense to do their job behind her.
Here is Amaya Doyle, who hits a rocket right at the shortstop, Gabby Garcia. So Doyle squared that one up. Really, first time anyone squared one up. And not the first time that Doyle has squared up Landry. She homered off of Landry in the game back on Friday night.
Yeah, Doyle seeing the ball well off of Landry and coming out aggressive first pitch. Hardest hit ball we've seen off of Landry so far here today. But then Landry coming right back, going to that off speed that has been so effective the first time through this Volunteer lineup.
And so here is Gabby Leach. And we've talked so much about the pitching and the home runs in this series. But if not for her defense on Friday night, Oklahoma would lead this series 2-0. On a play in the bottom of the 7th inning, a base hit to her in right field, and she threw a one-hop strike to the plate to get the speedy Hannah Core, who was trying to score from second base.
And you can go back and you can think about that play through and through, especially Core getting thrown out. You've got Pickins, one of the best in the country, in the circle. Coach Gasso was sending Hannah Core the whole way. And you go back and you probably, as a coach, you second guess it going, oh, but you have to, and you have to put the pressure on defenses and say, we challenge you to make a play. And that's exactly what Gabby Leach did. And it was, you see what happens in the bottom half of that inning, or excuse me, the top half of the 8th. That rolls back and that momentum was set in motion by Gabby Leach. Sophia Nugent hitting that bomb, rolling off of Gabby Leach and her game-saving play.
2-2 on Leach here as she slashes one foul down the third baseline. That actually hit the net and rolled out to the left fielder, Abigail Dayton. And here it comes back in. Leach is 1 for 4 at the plate this weekend. Had a double back on Friday night. Saw her sister, her twin Alana, also play in this series. They were both out in the outfield on Friday night in the late innings. Full count.
That's a pretty good location, 2-2. As good of a location, even better discipline coming from Gabby Leach. That pitch just missed in the river.
Strike 3 as Gabby Leach swings through that one, and it's the third strikeout for Sam Landry.
Pulling the string.
Got the final strikeout as the Sooners won their first national title since 2000 and the second for Patty Gasso. And there's the first hit of this game. It comes from Hannah Core in the number 9 spot, leading off the 3rd inning for Oklahoma.
Using the dirt, Hannah Core finding a way just to push that ground ball up the middle, but Ella Dodge doing a great job of just keeping this ball on the dirt and made this a much closer play than it should have been, and rightfully so, seeing that challenge.
Tennessee is challenging the play at first base. The call in the field is safe. That play is under further review.
I expected to see a challenge here after the play was safe, but Ella Dodge
The runner is safe. This is Tennessee's first challenge.
And look, Dodge did all she could to try to get this out.
And I think really when you look at it, at least from that view, and there's a better angle, absolutely barely safe, but I think when you kind of see a play like that, had the play on the field been out, I think it would have also been upheld because it was way too close to change it either way. So I think the biggest piece there was the fact that it was a safe call originally.
I think that's a valid point. Even with all the views and cameras that we have, it's a challenge to tell at times. So one challenge remaining for the Lady Vols, and that is Oklahoma's 3rd base runner, and it's the first hit for either team. That's the other side about this series. The defense has been fantastic. There's not been an error committed yet in a very high-level series, and there have been some spectacular plays both ways.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing that area where Dodge lost her footing a little bit. The grounds crew here at Love's Field coming out to make it right, get things fixed just a bit. Maybe a little bit too much moisture in that area. But no, and Chad, to your point, these games, we can talk about the home runs, we can talk about the strikeouts, because we've seen a lot of both of those. Both defenses have made differences in each of these games so far. And you go back, you go back to Friday's game, there were multiple plays on both sides that completely changed the landscape of that ball game. And obviously Leach in the 7th saving the game for Tennessee, but you go back even earlier into that game, there were plays made that kept runs off the board that completely changed how that game went.
Couple that were made, one by Mealer out at short for Tennessee as well, and even the final out in Saturday's game, Ilana Agbayani, the Oklahoma 2nd baseman, diving out near the OU logo in center field to pull in the final out of that game.
And we've talked about the pitching so much, and rightfully so, and what Pickins has done, and Core takes off.
Slides to the outside part of the bag, and the tag by Dodge is not in time. So it's a stolen base for Hannah Core. And Oklahoma has the first runner in scoring position this afternoon.
But behind every great pitcher is a great defense. And I think we've seen a lot of that this weekend. And getting aggressive on a pitch that was tough to handle behind the plate for Nugent, and good work by Hannah Core, getting a good jump going to the backside of the bag.
That's her first stolen base of the year. And now Dayton trying to push the bunt toward 3rd, can't get it done. Count goes to 1-1.
And not surprising to see runners in motion in this situation from Coach Gasso. You've got Pickins on the mound, 1 hit today by either team, but you've got to take advantage.
There's a base hit to right. Leach up with it, and she was very shallow because the bunt was on, so Core will get the stop sign at 3rd base, but Oklahoma has runners at 1st and 3rd and nobody out in the 3rd.
Abigail Dayton turning on this pitch and using the dirt on the inner half. Very similar, same base runner. Very similar to the situation on Friday night.
Flashbacks, right?
And Gabby Leach doing it again, showing the arm out from right field, but a little bit of a different situation, right? Nobody out. And you can see Coach Gasso holding Hannah Core the entire way and putting the Sooners in a position here with 1st and 3rd.
Abigail Dayton having a good series. She is now 1 for 2 in this game, but she hit a home run yesterday. She is 3 for 8 on the weekend. Bunt shown here by Nelly McEnroe-Marinas. And down to second base, Dayton will go. So now 2 runners in scoring position for the Sooners.
And the late balls, no defensive play on the first and third. So allowing the Sooners to have a pair in scoring position here.
McEnroe-Marinas swings through that one. Struck out swinging her first time. She is 1 for 7 in the series this weekend. That hit coming in game 1 back on Friday. 7 home runs in SEC play for Nelly McEnroe-Marinas.
The Sooners have always been known for their first and third antics on the base paths, but Abigail Dayton taking second easily, and you can see Nugent pop up, and you want to know who knows those first and third plays probably better than anybody else, Sophia Nugent, but not giving the Sooners an opportunity to wreak any havoc on the base paths, and putting the ball in Pickens' hands, saying, go after the batter.
So 3-1 the count on Nelly McEnroe-Marinas. First base is open. And this one fouled into the net over on the first base side. Sophia Nugent, after the home run that she hit on Friday night, she said, yeah, I've got a lot of friends. It's good to renew acquaintances. And she just tried to stay in the moment and not let it get too big in hitting that eventual game-winning home run on Friday.
And just what a position for Sophia Nugent, you know, and it crossed my mind because we were on the call on Friday. It crossed my mind. I'm going, man, this could be epic, and it turned that way. And in hindsight, I'm like, I should have said something. But when you're looking at it, I think what made that moment even more impressive is that she didn't let the moment be bigger than it needed to be. She just got in the box and stuck with her same approach that she always has. I mean, you know, Sophia Nugent is a veteran, and a lot of players would have gotten in their head and tried to do too much, and she just stuck with her game plan and stuck with her preparation.
3 straight foul balls now by McEnroe-Marinas. Oklahoma with a big opportunity here in the 3rd inning. First 2 runners have reached. Nobody out in the heart of the lineup, waiting.
You can see McEnroe-Marinas making some adjustments early in this at-bat. A couple of swing throughs from McEnroe-Marinas, and you could see a lot of daylight between her barrel and the pitch. Pickens struck her out on Friday night as well, but just in this bat alone, McEnroe-Marinas tracking pitches a little bit better and getting rid of those defensive swings.
And she takes ball 4 after the 4 straight foul balls. The Sooners have the bases loaded and nobody out now in the 3rd.
When you go back and you look at turning points in this ball game, that at bat right there. Pickens getting to a 2-strike count. Again, seeing McEnroe-Marinas not look tremendous early in the at bat, and then getting rid of some really good pitches and just the pure emotion from Nelly.
Pickering shoots one out into center field. Diving is Fiedler. It's off her glove and rolling all the way to the wall. This could clear the bases. The relay throw is not in time as McEnroe-Marinas scores behind Dayton and Core. And the Sooners grab a 3-0 lead on a double by Cassidy Pickering, who has yet to be retired this weekend.
Pickering is seeing the ball well, as good as anyone in the country. And this is taking 0 things away from Pickering, as she took a pitch that caught a little bit of plate. Pickens has done a really good job of getting the ball in on the hands and not quite enough to Pickering. Great effort by Fiedler out in center field and nearly made the catch. But we talk about momentum so much. That base hit, I give part of that to that at-bat from Nelly McEnroe-Marinas.
She drew the walk and then scored all the way from first base, did Nelly McEnroe-Marinas. And the Sooners have 3 hits and 3 runs here in this frame. Here's Gabby Garcia, grounded out to the second baseman Dodge, her first time. Pickering's 7th double, now 35 runs driven in for Cassidy Pickering this year.
Now, we talk so much about the maturity that you see from Cassidy Pickering in the box. I think that at bat is another example of it.
This one popped up right around the plate for Nugent to take care of. And one away in the third.
Good response from Pickins, just catching Garcia out on her front foot a bit. But that 3 RBI double from Pickering, following up the walk. Whether she made contact or not, I think Pickering was stepping into the box knowing she was unloading pitch 1. It just shows her understanding of the ball game and understanding of pitching, or pitch sequence, if you will.
Ella Parker takes high. She grounded out to Ella Dodge, the second baseman, her first time. One and one now to Parker. Carlin Pickins in this situation has typically had an excellent response. She gets one out as Parker swings to another.
That's a good location coming from Pickins, a little elevated up in the zone. Most of the pitches we've seen from Pickins in this ball game have been on the inner half, so making an adjustment. Now we're seeing her, even with the miss there, working the other side of the plate to Parker.
Pickins gave up just 1 earned run here on Friday night in 5 2/3. And here in the third, she has given up 3. Just trying to settle down. She's been through situations like this many, many times throughout her career. Parker hits this off the end of the bat, bounding toward Mealer. Down to third base. On the putout will go Pickering. Mealer cleanly retires Parker for out number 2.
That's a huge out as Pickins going after Ella Parker. She's had a lot of success against Parker in this series so far, but doing it with a different sequence of pitches on the outer half and getting Parker to reach and just kind of flail at that pitch on the outside corner.
Here's Sydney Sanders, who was hit by pitch her first time up today and homered yesterday. 7 home runs on the season and now 52 for her career, 6th most among active players in Division I.
Sydney Sanders has one of those approaches at the plate that as you watch her, she takes such a big hack as we saw through that pitch. But there are times you see her even in hitters' counts that she's not as aggressive. And you can just, those walk numbers are simply, not that she's not aggressive in the box, but she just is really hunting once. Tennessee offense, second time through, being a little bit more aggressive and just to kind of quote Coach Weekly, put the ball in play and try to make something happen.
Here's Fiedler, who grounded out to Sanders, the first baseman, her first time up. And you heard Coach Weekly allude to it there. Offense has got 12 hits the first 2 games, the 3 home runs, and so far without a base runner against Sam Landry. And one of the big differences is, the pitcher's got a lot of control in this thing. On Friday night, Landry walked 3 and hit 2. A lot of free base runners out there.
A lot of free passes, a lot of hitters counts. We saw a ton of hitters counts on Friday coming from Landry. Everything that she was trying to work with in her pitch sequence was in 2-0, 2-1, 3-2 counts, and we're seeing the opposite of that today. We're seeing a lot of 1-2 counts and actually being able to expand the strike zone.
Comebacker, kind of in on the hands, but hit decent by Fiedler. Just right back at Sam Landry for the second out.
2 quick outs, but not a terrible piece of hitting by Fiedler. We're starting to see the Tennessee Volunteers square things up a little bit more. Big grins from Landry. That's always little bit of a scary moment as a pitcher.
Yeah, you can certainly relate to that. Here's Taylor Panel, popped up to the shortstop, Gabby Garcia. Panel having an excellent season for the Lady Volunteers and a very good weekend. She is 4 out of 8 in this series, including a home run yesterday. She was 3 for 3 back on Friday. Now a little conversation between Emmerling and Sam Landry. What's this visit about here?
I was just talking about all of the plus counts we've seen from Landry. We've seen very few 2-0 counts. And I like seeing Emmerling recognize that, slow things down, and go out and have a conversation, even if the conversation is not even truly related to the pitch that just got thrown. Slow things down, have a conversation, maybe loosen things up a bit, and let's get back to work and stick with what we've been doing.
What's the strangest thing a catcher said to you on a visit to the circle, just to try to get your mind off the seriousness of this?
I don't know if it's appropriate to say on the air.
Figured you would say that. 3-0 now to Panel. There's an off-speed pitch in for a strike. Panel trying to become the first Lady Volunteer to reach first base today against Sam Landry. Oklahoma has a 3-run double from Cassidy Pickering. And now 3-2. Foul ball that came up and clipped Taylor Panel.
Landry going with the off speed and then coming right back, distorting timing, going right back at Panel hard on the inner half.
Karen Weekly said Panel has just gotten better at surrendering the outcome. That's a big phrase for Karen Weekly and the Lady Volunteers. Surrender the outcome. You got to be willing to accept it and move on. Down and in, and there's the first base runner for the Lady Vols here in the 4th with 2 down.
2-out walk to Panel, arguably one of the best hitters in this Tennessee lineup. I don't mind the miss. The 3-2 was a pretty good location, but Panel just being very deliberate with knowing and also knowing where the strike zone, and the river hasn't really been a strike. So that's a big take. 3-2.
Here's the cleanup batter, McKenna Gibson, who struck out swinging her first time today. Gibson, 39 career home runs, 157 runs driven in. Has been a staple for the 2 SEC regular season championship teams that Karen Weekly has had. 1 for 7 with a walk this weekend here at Norman. Back up the middle and scoots into center field as it just gets past the glove of Garcia. And all of a sudden, the Lady Volunteers are going to bring the potential tying run to the plate. And it'll be Sophia Nugent, who was the hero on Friday night in extra innings.
And all of this being done with 2 outs, and that was a drop ball that Gibson went down and got on a pitch that was really and truly outside of the zone, and she just did a great job of seeing the pitch down and using the dirt. So some of those adjustments coming from the Lady Vols second time through, more aggressiveness and tracking that drop ball down and pounding it into the ground.
So once again, Emmerling is out for a little chat with Sam Landry. And Amanda Allen is going to run at first for McKenna Gibson. So Amanda Allen is at first. Taylor Panel is at second. And here is Nugent. Pulls the first pitch, just foul.
Nugent recognizing, coming out aggressive, recognizing that pitch on the inner half. And again, just another moment for Sophia Nugent.
Honestly, you could not have written
No.
a more dramatic script than what we saw on Friday night. And even Patty Gasso afterwards smiled about this home run from her former player, Sophia Nugent.
And just talk about having an absolute moment and taking this pitch opposite field, and just the pure joy from Sophia Nugent to win the ball game for Tennessee. But it's those are the types of things, though. I mean, we can talk about the transfer portal, love it, hate it, do with it what you will. You want to see players go and be successful, and I think that's just part of the landscape of softball and just athletics in general.
We saw Jennifer Rocha come out of the Oklahoma dugout there, DJ. First time that she has been to the circle today.
We're starting to see Landry get behind in counts a little bit. 1-1 right now, so big conversion pitch coming from San Landry as she misses inside and falls behind. But the conversation, it's in your head of making sure that you're getting those pitches inside enough, getting to a corner. That pitch that got hit Friday night was supposed to be on the outer half. It did not make it, and Nugent made her pay. So just being deliberate with those spots and working your pitches through the strike zone.
2-2 on that foul ball. That's more of the pitch we've seen today from Sam Landry.
And that's a good location. On the inner half, there's not a lot you can do with that pitch, and just in on the hands. An opportunity here. One thing we've seen a lot from Landry in this ball game is her mixing speeds and doing a little bit of a check on Emmerling after that foul ball.
Yeah, Patty Gasso is out over here behind home plate to chat with Isabella Emmerling. We talk about the relationship between Patty Gasso and Jennifer Rocha. It goes back to Long Beach City College when Patty Gasso was the head coach there, and her husband Jim was the dean at Jennifer Rocha's school. Recruited her there, but Jen Rocha did not play for Patty Gasso until Oklahoma. Full count now.
There's that off-speed pitch that we have seen be so effective and deceptive. One of the first misses I feel like we've seen from the changeup in that 2-2 count, now running the count full, but fully expected to see some off-speed, just did not quite get it through the strike zone.
Here's the payoff. And the bases are loaded for the Volunteers now. That's the second walk of the inning and of the game for Sam Landry. And what a chance here for Mealer and the Lady Vols.
In all of this, that pitch just on the outer half, and look at the sheer passion coming from Sophia Nugent. Slamming down the Evo shield so much, I think she even blew off her signal card.
Yeah, we're going to test just how durable those Evo shields are. So here's Mealer. And an off-speed pitch for a strike to start her, DJ.
And that has been something that we've seen Landry lean on throughout this ball game. I go back to the walk to Nugent. The walk to Nugent happened because that changeup was not in the strike zone.
Bases full of Lady Volunteers and an 0-2 count. Now on Mealer, who bounced one just out in front of home plate her first time up and was thrown out by the catcher, Emmerling.
All of this coming with 2 outs for the Lady Vols.
The 0-2 line to right field. It is fair into the corner. Panel is in to score. Here comes the pinch runner, Aller, and the ball gets lost underneath the fence. It'll be a ground rules double and a 3-2 ball game. A line drive, laser down the right field line by Mealer has made it a 1-run game.
2-out rally for Tennessee, and Mealer taking a pitch, 0-2, that should have been a little bit more off the plate, and just handling it so well, textbook. Taking that pitch on the outer half, letting it get deep, and lining it down into the right field wall.
That play is under further review.
So you hear the announcement that Oklahoma is going to challenge fair or foul, I believe is what I heard there.
This is a McIntyre Law official review.
That is Alex Leap, who is the crew chief out there. giving us the announcement on the review. Was it fair or foul?
You always like to use that age-old term, did the chalk fly? And as we see it on the replay view, it looks like it landed right on the line. And I'm gonna go back to the evidence must be irrefutable. And I think that's the biggest key with every single challenge. I really do.
After review, the call in the field is upheld. Fair ball. This is Oklahoma's first challenge.
And you hear the eruption from the Tennessee dugout because the 2-run double by Mueller is upheld to the delight of the Vols fans in attendance. We've got a 1-run game.
I want to go back to that pitch that was hit by Mueller. 0-2 count. And that pitch, it wasn't a terrible pitch coming from Landry. It wasn't dead red, catching a lot of white on the plate. It was on the outer half and just handled so well by Mueller. You kind of see that pitch, if anything, maybe wanting to get a little bit of downward break, but Mueller really taking what was kind of a tough pitch and doing a really good job with it.
So it is 2 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks in the inning. Ella Dodge now. So a 2-0 count here on Ella Dodge. Driven right field. This one is way back and it's gone. It's a 3-run home run for Ella Dodge, and the Lady Volunteers have sprung into the lead.
All of this done with 2 outs. 2-0 count. Ella Dodge was sitting, and that was an off-speed pitch delivered by Landry. Up in the zone was where that changeup, and as soon as that pitch was thrown, Landry knew it. And Dodge just sitting and going down and getting that pitch again. When I watched it live, I thought it looped in a little bit more than it did. I stand corrected. And Dodge just taking the off-speed pitch and taking it out of here to right field where we've got a wind blowing straight in.
Yeah, that's into the teeth of the wind. And now here's Doyle, who homered against Landry back on Friday. So for Dodge, home run number 5, RBIs 10, 11, and 12. It is a 5-run inning from a 3-0 deficit to a 5-3 lead for the Lady Volunteers.
With 2 outs.
All with 2 outs. And it began with the walk to Panel. Lengthy at bat, and that's, something that Karen Weekly has talked about with Panel in particular, the ability to work counts and try to get her pitch. Well, she drew the walk, and that has touched off this 5-run rally.
Yeah, and she is so good. We can look at the stats and talk about everything that she does in the box. I mean, hitting well over 400 on the season, but that was her 22nd walk of the year, right? And finding her way on base, working deep into that count, and making Landry do something she hadn't done all game is get into.
Landry is able to get Amaya Doyle to finish things, but what an inning for Tennessee halfway through this.
Who have been around the block. They haven't been around the block in a center uniform. And you don't really know how a team's going to handle that. And if you look at some of these Sooner teams in recent years, there's so many games where they never really had to fight back from a deficit. It didn't happen very often, and this is a team that's done it so often here in this season so far, and it just kind of shows the type of mindset that they have that you don't always see from newcomers and underclassmen.
31 wins on the season for Oklahoma. 11 of them have been in come-from-behind fashion, but all the momentum is wearing orange right now. A strikeout of Agbayani starts the 4th for Pickins, who now pitches with the lead.
And Pickins coming in and going right after Agbayani. One of the best things you can do as a pitcher is take care of the first out after your offense goes to bat for you and puts runs on the board. Your job as a pitcher to come out is to hang a 0.
That's 4 strikeouts now for Carlin Pickins today. She goes to work against the Oklahoma catcher, Isabella Emmerling. Time called now is the 2-0 count, and Nugent is going to go out, briefly chat with Carlin Pickins. Maybe not as sharp today as she was when she came out of the bullpen to win the game back on Friday night. Just kind of a little reset here, conversation with Nugent.
Yeah, you know, and Pickins has done a good job. I mean, she gave up the 3 runs in the 3rd, but one thing that I feel like we have seen from her strikeout numbers all year have been high. And she has multiple here this afternoon already, but one thing she has done a very good job of is being in the strike zone. And it's not a coincidence that Nugent saw 2 pitches out of the zone early, falling behind 2-0, and all of a sudden, I'm going to go out and we're going to have a quick chat. So that's just, as a catcher, managing your staff, understanding the game, and knowing when you maybe need to slow things down and give your pitcher a minute just to refocus.
2-2 now on Emmerling as Pickens has come back with back-to-back strikes. Isabella Emmerling grounded out to the third baseman panel her first time. And looking for her first hit in this weekend series. Wind's going to just blow that one well out of play. Sun is trying to burn its way through the overcast and is doing a decent job at it. Although we'd like a little more sunshine. It's at least kind of bright. How about that?
It doesn't look so ominous. I walked into the stadium this morning going, this does not look like spring softball weather. The weather heard me, getting it together.
And this place has been packed all weekend. Loves Field. Bouncing ball to Dodge. 2 gone here in the 4th inning. How important is that shutdown inning as a pitcher if you can get it after your team gives you the lead?
Invaluable. And this is such a game of momentum, and I feel like we've talked about that a lot this weekend in this series, and you've seen it. With the stick in the circle, defensive plays, we've just seen so many massive shifts in momentum, and we just saw it in a matter of 30 minutes of what looked like the Sooners taking control of this ball game. Landry getting 2 quick outs, and then a 2-out walk. All of a sudden, all of that momentum is in the Tennessee dugout. So Pickins, if she is able to retire the side here and get the Lady Vols back in the dugout, you still feel that same momentum and have the opportunity to start passing the bat offensively.
Yeah, the momentum swings in this series have not been your garden variety like check swing strikeouts or sacrifice flies. They've been 3-run home runs and big strikeouts and incredible defensive plays.
It's a good hack from Hannah Core. 2 strikes, seeing that pitch a little bit elevated.
Hannah Core singled back in the 3rd on the 3-run double by Pickering, which accounts for all of the Oklahoma runs so far. Core 1 hopper right back to Pickens, and a 1-2-3 inning. That shutdown inning by Carlin Pickins after
Oklahoma State. It took Kat Osterman in the circle, and I mean Tennessee on the verge of doing it here today as well. But you go back, that's a long time.
Yeah, 19 seasons with 1 home series loss for Oklahoma. This one hit foul down the left field side by Gabby Leach. Leach struck out her first time.
This is such a big out. If you're Landry in the circle, Leach in the 9-hole.
You need a standing 8 count to kind of regroup. So now she's been able to go sit in the dugout for a moment, and she retires Leach to start the 5th.
And that's a big out to start the 5th, and drop ball that she got Leach to chase outside of the zone, which really would have been ball 4, but keeping her off the base paths before the top of the lineup rolls back over.
And as Morgan stands in, here's what we're talking about with the comfort and ease that Landry had the first 3 innings. And you mentioned it as we were chatting with Karen Weekly. She said, got to put the ball in play.
And that's exactly what the Vols did. But you go back, it was a 2-out walk that started that rally for the Volunteers, and then they took it over, putting the ball in play, making good contact. and able to get going with that 2-out rally, putting up 5 runs with 2 outs. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but if you even go back to the 3rd, there was a walk peppered in to the rally for the Sooners as well. So playing a little bit of a card here today, the walks that we saw so much of on Friday, not as much here, but it's not a coincidence that a walk was peppered into each of those rallies for both teams.
I'm going to have to bring you a little more current with that broken record reference. It's a digital download with a corrupted file in it, I think is what it is nowadays.
Okay. Then I just aged myself a bit,
It's okay.
I guess.
It's okay. I had records. It's all good.
I didn't, so.
Patty Gasso out for a quick visit. So we've seen Emmerling go out. We've seen Jennifer Rocha come out. And now Patty Gasso out for a chat with Landry. And you wonder if the Sooners would make a switch as Landry has fallen behind. But given how effective Kirsten Deal was yesterday, complete game for Oklahoma out there in the circle.
And there is some movement in the Sooner bullpen. I see Peyton Monticelli up, moving around, and Deal had a really good day. One of the best outings I feel like we've seen from Kirsten Deal this season, and both Monticelli and Deal up, moving around.
And Oklahoma has been without Audrey Lowry, freshman pitcher, very talented, was the Indiana Gatorade Player of the Year last year. In fact, got a win in the South Carolina series for Oklahoma, but she's been unavailable to them the last couple of weeks. Hit in the air toward the left fielder. And with the shift on, the left fielder was the right fielder, Cassidy Pickering. So she jogs back over, and we've seen that work out a couple of times for Oklahoma. We even saw with the shift on, Abigail Dayton yesterday, the left fielder take a throw on a fielder's choice play at second base.
Yep.
Yeah, the shifts make crazy box scores happen.
What's been wild is, you know, you talk about you either hate the shift or love it. It's played in OU's favor.
Yeah, it's like the transfer portal. You may not like it all the time, but it works out a lot more than it fails. I'm just telling you. Here's Fiedler, 0 for 2.
Landry getting on top. No balls, 2 strikes to Fiedler. Fiedler 0 for 2 here today, but you go back to the 4th. That line drive straight back to Landry was squared up well.
It'll stay 0-2 on Fiedler. Fiedler, a real energy giver to this team, and just kind of a consistent type of player who's locked down center field defensively for the Lady Volunteers this year.
And when you look at this Tennessee lineup, and it's easy. We talk about Oklahoma, a lot of they're young. There's a lot of newness, and then you look at Tennessee. They've got some youngness players in their lineup, but you have that leadership like what we see from Fiedler.
Nicely done by McEnroe Marinas. Landry a clean 5th inning, and hoping her offense can rally as we.
Dayton did a really good job in her last at-bat of using the dirt and finding a way on base right in the middle of that 3-run inning for the Sooners.
One and 2 the count to the Sooner left fielder.
Pickins took a little bit off that one. It's wild, and we talk about the velocity so much, but her off-speed pitch is in the low 60s, low to mid 60s. And there's a lot of...
That's where many, if not most, fastballs live these days.
Yes, there's a lot of pitchers who are throwing their velocity mid 60s, and let's make it clear, that's not a junk ball pitcher. That's not just tossing it in there.
Okay, what was your now the rules regarding engagement of the rubber were a little bit different back then. So what was your top speed?
77, so it was a big day when it got broken on Monday. No, just kidding. No, it did change a little bit. Not having to have both feet on the rubber, I think across the board, you've seen velocity increase, which is great. You know, mid to upper 60s was about where I was hanging out. But you see that shift, and it's really amazing for the sport, but just seeing how stronger young pitchers are.
Yeah, how do you build velocity? We were talking with Karen Weekly this week about, the jump from 55 to 60 miles per hour is almost easier than going from, say, 67 to 68. And there's a leadoff walk to Abigail Dayton, who has been the party starter. That's the way that Patty Gasso has described her at the top of the order.
She is. She's right in the middle of everything, and I'm going to say it again. We said it to start this ball game. Walks have been killer. They have been in this game as well. A 2-out walk started the rally for Tennessee to put 5 on the board, and now a leadoff walk. Not just leadoff of the inning, but leadoff to Abby Dayton, putting her on the base paths to go through the toughest part of this OU lineup.
Nellie McEnroe-Marinas now. She walked and scored on the double by Pickering back in the 3rd. Oklahoma loaded the bases. And maybe when you point back at this game so far, after the double by Pickering, the response by Pickens, because she got the heart of this Oklahoma lineup after that. She got Garcia, she got Parker, and she got Sanders in successive fashion after the double by Pickering. We talk about responses. That was a response by Pickens.
And we've seen her do it all weekend, and not just the response of getting three quick outs, but also the big strikeout to end the inning. I think one thing when you see Carlin Pickins, she finds a way to hammer the strike zone and make big pitches in big moments. And speaking of big moments, you got Sooner fans knowing and feeling what's going on here in the 5th after that walk.
Got some former Sooner All-Americans, national champions there. Kenzie Hansen, Alyssa Brito, Nicole May. I believe we've got all kinds of champs over there.
I think biggest champ is that woman in her cowboy boots dancing on the dugout.
Good play by Panel to cut off that chopper from McEnroe-Marinas as Dayton moves down to second base on the play.
When you don't have a bunt and you are in a tight ball game, you put the ball on the dirt. You could see the reaction from Dayton and kind of giving McEnroe-Marinas the, all right, let's go. Good job of finding a way to move a runner into scoring position.
And now Pickens tries to solve the mystery that has been Cassidy Pickering. She has reached base safely in 15 straight at bats, including a 3-run double that started the scoring back in the 3rd today.
Pickering showing bunt and pulling back, but Pickering seeing the ball so well off of Pickens and just really locked in the box. You can see Pickens being careful here, and rightfully so, but really working the outside corner, working that drop ball, trying to force Pickering to put something on the ground.
Rips that one over the outside edge of the plate. You could not have spotted that in a better position, could you? Takes the count to 2-2 on Pickering.
Such a deliberate location. 75 on the gun, but breaking the knee. The height of that pitch is what's so impressive.
Pickering lifts this one foul. Wind is going to blow this one toward the seats. And I'm telling you, yesterday that ball would have been caught easily in foul territory. This time, with the north wind, it hits the screen.
And Panel kind of drifting with it, trying to see if she's going to have the opportunity to make a play, and just anything that's sky high is going to be pushed, and we've seen it a couple times here this afternoon.
Pickering fouls this one off. This feels like a huge at-bat, given the way that Pickering has menaced the Volunteers this weekend and how good Pickens has been.
And Pickering seeing a lot of pitches going deep into this count, working full. Pickens going toe-to-toe, continuing to challenge Pickering. Payoff pitch here.
And she spoils another one.
You can see Pickering, those pitches on the outer half, and we've seen that same pitch location multiple times in this at-bat coming from Carlin Pickins, of really trying to get Pickering to expand her zone and chase that pitch on the outer half, and Pickering just getting enough of it to get rid of it and making Pickins come back over the plate. Same story, new pitch, same story, outer half, getting rid of it. What a battle.
Pickens and Pickering, you pick a winner. It's Pickens with the big strikeout.
Just as we've seen her do it all weekend. And that pitch was right at the knee and probably caught a little bit more plate than Pickens would have liked. But the height, that is where you're at with that pitch. The drop ball just breaking the knee through the zone. Big time pitch coming from Pickens.
It breaks a streak of 15 straight times reaching base for Cassidy Pickering. Maybe no bigger strikeouts this weekend than that one by Carlin Pickins.
Huge.
Gabby Garcia 0 for 2 today. And more paint from Pickens.
Pickens getting on top quickly. 0-2. Opportunity to go to the rise.
One and 2 the count. Gabby Garcia 1 for 7 this weekend, but that one hit was her first career triple yesterday into right field. To first base, picked up by Gibson, and Pickens is able to pitch around the walk in the 5th. Lady Volunteers looking for the win in Norman this weekend. Go to
Perfect storm between walks and a home run.
You mentioned the 2-out walk. It was issued to this player, Taylor Panel, in the 4th inning. That's what started the 5-run uprising for the Lady Volunteers.
And we mentioned it as it was happening, obviously not knowing everything that would ensue after, but such a tremendous at-bat by Panel. If you go back in the 4th, the 2-out walk came around to score.
Hard hit ball speared by McEnroe Marinas. And she's able to get Panel. She is just wired to play third base.
Not many people are. And McEnroe Marinas, that ball was smoked. And making it look easy, even checking down to throw out Panel at first base. Big first out.
Those third basemen, sometimes they make a play like that and they almost look at the hitter and go, is that all you got? But you're right, it takes a different type of mindset to play that close to that much velocity coming your way.
You've got to love when you have a third baseman as a pitcher that you can rely on like that and go, you know what? I'm going to go hard in on a righty as much as I want because I know they can smoke a ground ball right at you and it's an out every day of the week.
Here's McKenna Gibson. She had a base hit in that 5-run rally. Came in to score on the double by Mealer. And then Dodge hit the 3-run blast that is the difference maker right now. Effective over the outer half of the plate there.
Landry took a little bit off of it. Just coming in at 54 miles an hour. So again, sticking with that same pitch sequence of keeping these Tennessee hitters off balance and not allowing them to sit on one speed.
In the hole and off the heel of Garcia's glove. Out it goes into left field. So that's back-to-back hits in this game for McKenna Gibson. She reaches first with one away in the 6th.
And Gibson just taking this pitch and using the dirt, put the ball in play, and you could see the freshman Garcia in that 5-6 hole trying to kind of shovel that ground ball instead of turning the glove over and trying to backhand. But even if she keeps that pitch on the dirt, it would have been a tough play.
Nugent rifles one into right center field. Leaping to grab it is Pickering. She'll throw back to first. Gibson is safe, but more leather flashed here in Norman this weekend.
And you see the excitement from Nugent getting the high five from Coach Craig Snyder because that ball was smoked. But let's continue to talk about the defense and Cassidy Pickering keeping runs off the board. And what a catch, and making it look pretty darn easy. And coming up quickly, even after that catch, turning around and getting the ball in quick. As many runs as she's put on the board with the stick, she's kept them off. I mean, she's tremendous in the outfield, reads the ball so well off the bat.
Here's Mealer bouncing one to short, and Garcia flipping it to Agbayani. Inning over. 5-3 Lady Volunteers headed to the bottom of the 6th.
Opportunity, Parker Sanders back to back. Starting to get a little deep in this game, getting a little bit late. So this could be the inning for the Sooners with Parker and Sanders leading it off, but gonna need some timely hitting.
3 hits today. And there's a strike poured through there. So Oklahoma 13 hits combined in the first 2. They've left 4 runners on base today. Parker is 0 for 2. She's grounded to second and grounded to short in this one.
If as I'm looking, 4 runners left on base today, to me, one of the more critical moments in this game, you go not too long ago, back in the 5th. Leadoff walk to start the inning to Abigail Dayton. She gets moved over on a swinging bunt, if you will, and stranded at second base. So the Sooners not capitalizing on a big opportunity. When you have a pitcher like Pickins in the circle who's going to give you a gift of a leadoff walk, you've got to find a way to capitalize. And that's something, as a coach, you kind of go back and look at and go, that was an inning that we needed to find a way to get something done and make Pickins pay for the leadoff walk.
So now Nugent goes out to visit with Carlin Pickins. Pickins 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, all earned with 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. Oklahoma took the lead in the bottom of the 3rd, a 3-run double by Cassidy Pickering. Tennessee, all of their runs coming in the 4th. 2-run double by Mealer and a 3-run home run by Ella Dodge. Right now is the separator. This one pulled right to first. Gibson is able to beat Parker to the bag for the first out.
That's a big first out for Pickens. That pitch on the outer half and just getting Parker to roll over. But Pickens has really just now hitting that 100 pitch mark, but she has been hammering the strike zone. Working ahead in counts and going after these Sooner hitters and saying, here's mid-70s. Do with it what you will, but she's really been in the strike zone a ton.
Sydney Sanders hit by pitch in the 2nd and then struck out in the 3rd. And I go back to that response of Pickens. Oklahoma had 3 runs on the board. They had Pickering at 2nd. They had nobody out. And Pickens was able to get Garcia, Parker, and Sanders, boom, 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 and it was done after Oklahoma posted 3.
Yeah, and that's something, and it doesn't faze her. And we've heard Coach Weekly talk about, her character and her leadership and the way that she just handles her business. And it doesn't matter if she's out there and things are just rolling or maybe facing a little bit of adversity, she still has that poise and her demeanor does not change.
Hard hit, ground ball gathered up by Dodge, 2 down.
Dodge has been really solid defensively, and you know, I go back and I mean, she's had a busy day over there at second base today. Multiple outs. I think I've got 5 in my scorebook ground balls to second base, and Dodge has been all over it, and even going back and nearly taking a hit away with a play she made. But Dodge has really been tremendous defensively at second base for Tennessee.
Agbayani 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Looking for her first hit in this weekend series. Slow roller to first. Nicely done by the second baseman Dodge, taking that throw from McKenna Gibson. And a 1-2-3 inning in the circle for Pickins, with her Lady Vols leading 5-3 headed to the 7th.
Scored in the 7-8-9 in game 1.
And here it was, with Nugent and Mealer aboard. She knew it. Ella Dodge, get out of here. Get out of Dodge. And that's the difference maker right now.
It is, and Dodge showing bunt and pulling back, but trying to find a way on base here. But it was an absolute no-doubter into the wind. And we were just talking about it in the bottom half of the 6th. On top of what she's done with the stick here today, she's been a game changer at second base defensively as well.
So Landry approaching 100 pitches. In fact, just has gone over it after 141 pitches on Friday.
Landry's done a good job of being in the zone, and early in this game, she was really doing a great job of working ahead in counts. From about the 4th inning on is where we've started to see her get a little bit deeper. We've seen more full count at bats, and what Dodge thought was a borderline pitch called for strike 2, but payoff pitch coming from Landry.
And she gets the strikeout. So Dodge gets called back by the plate umpire Scott Mayer, and then Landry able to deal the strikeout.
Landry going with the drop ball, just right on the inner half, and you can just see that pitch fall off the table.
5 strikeouts now for Landry. Here's a Maya Doyle who's 0 for 2 in this game. Popped up on the infield. Wind is going to blow this one, and really not much of a problem dealing with that one from Emmerling. Thought the wind might blow it a little closer to the net, the back screen originally, but that was easily playable.
Yeah, and Emmerling hung with it. Good communication. You could see Sydney Sanders coming in quick and Emmerling taking charge, but 2 quick outs for Landry and an opportunity here to retire the side. Tennessee looking for a little bit of insurance, as they know how quickly this game can get turned on its head, but looking for some insurance to give a little bit of a cushion going into the 7th.
0-2 now to Leach, who is 0 for 2 with a strikeout in this game. And you think back to her defensive play in the bottom of the 7th inning to cut down the winning run at the plate on a throw from right field that she made. The complexion of this series would look a lot different. Swing and a miss. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Sam Landry. Sooners are down to their final 3 outs, trailing 5-3. The bottom of the 7th inning is next in Norman. Strike 2 to Isabella Emmerling. 0 for 2 with a pair of groundouts today is the Sooner catcher. Pickins has had only that 1 inning of trouble. In fact, that's been the case for each pitcher today. Other than 1 inning, they have had it on cruise control with the 5 that the Volunteers got in the 4th against Landry, and the 3 that the Sooners got in the 3rd against Pickens.
Yeah, just 2 innings for each team with crooked numbers, and other than that, the pitchers have just absolutely rolled.
Tough play backing up on it for Mealer, but the throw is in time and on target. 1 away in the 7th inning.
Mealer made that play look a lot easier than it was. Catching that high hop up the middle.
Lady Volunteers trying to get the first road series win over a top 2 team in program history. The Sooners trying to avoid their 2nd home conference series loss since 2006. That was Texas. And Oklahoma State was able to do it last season.
I can't say there are too many teams that have road series wins over the number 1 or 2 team in the country.
No, but
just in general,
you don't often get to go play the number 1 or number 2 team. It also speaks to just how good Oklahoma has been, and you could feel it with Tennessee's celebration on Friday night. They knew it's an accomplishment to come on the road and win here in Norman, and they can sense it now.
Well, and so few programs can do it. The thing I notice is every single team that has done it in the last almost 20 years, they've all been orange. Texas, Oklahoma State.
You know, you mentioned this as well the other day. The response from Tennessee, they lost 2 of 3 games last weekend. So you're kind of worried you're going on the road into this environment. This has been a big response for Kieran Weekly's squad this week.
Yeah, this is a team who lost the series down in Fayetteville just a week ago.
Gabby Leach over near the foul line catches that one off the bat of Core. And the Volunteers are 1 out away.
But you find out a lot about your team in the way that they respond, and talk about running, I mean, really and truly running a gauntlet. The entire SEC, there is never a game, there is never a day off, but going from losing a road series, a tough road series to Arkansas, and then coming up here to Norman, taking game 1, and 1 out away from winning the series on the road, it says a lot about the culture of this Tennessee team. It says a lot about, you know, the way that they are potentially heading in a position to be peaking on the back half of this season. But learn a lot about your ball club and the way that they respond from losses, and I think we've seen a lot of that from Tennessee this weekend.
Abigail Dayton is 1 for 2 with a base hit and a walk today. Pickens looking for her 2nd win in the series. It would be her 12th win of the year, and trying to get the complete game victory in Norman. Abigail Dayton homered yesterday. And that pitch a little upstairs. Beg your pardon, Abigail Dayton's home run came on Friday night. She homered in her very first bat as an Oklahoma Sooner, did Dayton, and then hit that home run on Friday to tie that game at 2 apiece. 2-1. Not done yet are the defending champs. They'll get a chance to bring the potential tying run to the plate with 2 down in the 7th. 2nd hit of the day for Abigail Dayton.
And just a really good piece of hitting by Dayton. That pitch on the inner half, she went down and got it and took the drop ball, but just doing enough to be on time, 75 miles an hour, and working a little late. It was a really good piece of hitting coming from Abby Dayton.
Here's Nellie McEnroe-Marinas. And unfazed by it all, Pickens deals a strike.
We talk about responses, and we've talked about the response of this Tennessee team, but Pickens just in general, we saw it earlier back in the 3rd. But showing that poise.
0-2 on McEnroe-Marinas, who walked and scored on the double by Cassidy Pickering. Oklahoma's 3 runs came on that 3-run double by Pickering. Volunteers in the 4th got a 2-run double from Mealer and a 3-run home run from Ella Dodge. That's where we sit. Sooners are down to their final strike. Slow roller. Wisely Panel will let this one trickle foul.
The way this series has gone, and we've used this word a lot, but it has been an absolute fight, and a little bit of a conversation being had in the circle. But as long as the Sooners have an out, as long as the Sooners have a strike, the game's not over. And I think everyone in the country knows that. Tennessee knows that as well, and you can say the same thing about Tennessee. This team has shown a ton of fight this weekend. This has just been an absolute match back and forth of these teams. 2 outs, extra innings, it doesn't matter. Finding a way to make something happen.
Swing and a miss. Complete game. And Pickins has pitched the Vols to taking 2 at OU this weekend.
That final pitch, rise ball through the zone, and you can just see, again, the excitement from Pickins, and rightfully so. And the Lady Vols picking up the road series win over the #2 team in the country.
The 2-time reigning regular season SEC